Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of The Deep Cut here on the Outlaw Nation channel. I am John, the Outlaw Rocha, and I couldn't be more excited to welcome my guest today. Listen, I'm a massive Anglophile. I watch British crime thriller films. I watch British crime films, British gangster films, like whatever is going on in the world of British crime. I try to watch as many of those films as possible whenever I can get them stateside. I'm currently trying to find Gangs of London, which is the new series that's come out as well, to get on top of that as well. But today I'm welcoming a veteran of those films. He's an award-winning actor, writer, and producer. You've seen him stateside in films like Cliffhanger, The Bank Job with Jason Statham, Stargate SG-1, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, The Unit, The Outsider. You've heard him as Gaz, Ghost, and T in the Call of Duty series, and as George Mason in Battlefield 5, which I thoroughly enjoyed playing and enjoying his voice on it. But everyone around the world knows him for his work in films like London Heist, which his son also produced, as Pat Tate in the Rise of the FootSoldier series, as Technique in London's Burning. People still reference that show, as Terry in Muscle, and my personal favorite, as Dan Sullivan in EastEnders. That's right. I used to be a massive EastEnders fan way back then. Even in Britain, back in the late 90s, I was there studying in London for about 6 months. And that was right when my guest was on the show. Without further ado, he is here to talk about his new movie, Villain, which I saw last night and is just absolutely great. And it's getting some damn good reviews. Please welcome to the Outlaw Nation, my guest for today, Craig Fairbrass. How are you, Craig? How's it going?
I'm very, very well. I can't believe you mentioned, I nearly swore then.
Oh, no, please. That's my favorite.
I was going back 20 years.
No, and last night it took about 15 minutes to watch like some of the old scenes with you and Mitchell and going at each other and all that stuff, and the affair with Bianca. Like I was just like, oh yeah, that's right. I remember all of this way back when, because I was studying through my college in London, and I'd become an EastEnders fan in the States, watching them on PBS. But of course, we get them 2 years later. So when I got to London, I was like, wait, who are all these new characters? What's going on? And you were one of the first guys I immediately enjoyed, because you radiate such a power and a presence as an actor, Craig. Back then, now, you're a veteran of these movies, and we're talking about Villain today because this is the one that's out now, and it's so damn good. What stood out for you about this movie than the other British crime films that you've done in the past?
I'll be really honest with you. It's just a human story at its heart. Eddie Francis was such an interesting character. I get offered a lot of stuff like this, and I do a lot of stuff like this.
Yeah.
Every now and again, something, crosses your path and you read it and you go, I'd kill to play this character.
Yeah.
He was interesting. Do you know what I mean? The script was quality, great writing, George Rocha, Greg Hall, really authentic, a really, really, I would say, 100% reflection of how London is today. The diversity, the culture, very gritty, not at all glamorous. Eddie's a very sort of complex character. He comes out of prison after 10 years. He wants to do the right thing,
right?
But then dragged back into this world. And listen, we've all seen that story 1,000 times. But every now and then you can put an edge on it, and you can make it refreshing, authentic, believable, and interesting.
Yeah. I would say that that's absolutely what comes through when you watch this movie. Listen, as I said at the beginning of the show, I've seen a million of these movies because I'm an addict to this kind of genre, this particular slice in the British film world. I love what Gangster Number One. Like I've seen all these things you just kind of enjoy and have a good time with. But this one is so different. And I saw you in previous interviews. You've corrected people in saying it's not a British gangster film. It's a British crime thriller because there's more going on with your character. And you're right. We've seen this where even Dom Hemingway played it for laughs, a guy coming out of after serving some time and going back into a situation. But you're being pulled back in even though you don't want to. Just from the beginning, we get the sense that you're a guy that you've learned your lessons. You're older now. You want to just get on with your life and have a peaceful life. You've paid for your crimes. But unfortunately, as you said, everything around you won't let you go back. And then you have to make a decision whether you're going to walk back in and the level to which you're going to walk back into this world.
Yeah. And, we chatted about this, because please don't be put off by the poster of the film.
Right.
Because posters can be very misleading.
Yeah, true.
So much more going on in this film. So much more.
Yeah.
I mean, I must have had thousands of messages from people taken by surprise. I mean, the film has done incredible business in the UK. Critically, 5 stars across the board everywhere.
Yeah.
Messages from the public of just going. The most interesting thing is, regardless of budget, you can make a little gem every now and again if you get the right people, the right script, the right actors, the right director, great music, and every now and again you have a little hit. And this film has gone down so well. I'm so excited because we got the big nod yesterday that it's business-wise, it's done incredible. And purely by word of mouth, where people have seen it and said to someone else, "Have you seen that little film, Villain? You should check it out."
Yeah. Well, I'm absolutely doing a review of it for the channel because I didn't know if I was going to do a review of it at all. And then I saw the movie and I was like, oh, man, we got to talk about this one because there's almost an artistic approach to this. I mean, the camera angles, the cinematography, the composition of the shots, Craig, this is not your standard normal British crime thriller, which are good, but this is like an elevated approach to it that respects the material and the characters, but also knows when to not clutter it up with dialogue or too much violence. And in its place is, as you said, real human interactions, real human connections. Your character goes through a lot, reuniting with your brother, but also
very, very, very smart perspective from you.
Thank you. But also,
what you just said.
Yeah, well, thank you, Craig. That's why I loved it, man, because it was so much more than just the standard stuff that you would see, but also your relationship with your daughter in the film as well. That's really powerfully played out and it's not copped out. You don't take cop outs. It's a really difficult relationship for you to try to mend throughout the movie.
Yeah, well, 1,000%. And that was what attracted me. The whole, to show. A big tough guy he's vulnerable, sensitive. I know it sounds very arty and very sort of, but you need those things. You need, because that is what people are.
Yeah.
Not just big tough Terminators. That's just what's so interesting about this film. This guy goes on a journey. And all of this stuff, trying to reconnect with his daughter and do the right thing and becoming a victim of circumstance, even though I still watch it now. And I would say it's one of the most proudest moments for me in my career as an actor.
Yeah. You can tell it radiates when you talk about it. Obviously, I watched other interviews and you can tell the real human pride and love you have for this movie. Because you've won awards for other films that you've done. Is this one like extra special? Is this one that you keep somewhere in a special place in your heart?
It is extra special because I do a lot of this stuff, and it's very, very difficult to find the quality. It is so difficult.
Right.
I'll get offered little stuff all around the world and all you're looking for is the quality, the story, the writing, the characters. If you can find the quality and you can translate that to the screen and you get the vibe back from people, for me, that's what acting's all about. And I'm under no illusions where I am in the business. I'm not here, but I'm not there.
Right.
I'm a guy who's doing his stuff, and I'm working. And the jobs are getting better. They're getting more interesting.
Yeah, well, I think because you put your time in, right? And you as a man have grown as well. I mean, your son is producing, so you've been a dad for quite some time. All the life experiences you've had, I'm sure that comes through in the work you do now. It's even more complex. It's more layered. There's more humanity in what you're portraying now. Naturally, because as human beings, we're different. At 20, we're not the same we are at 40. We're just completely different. And watching a little bit of the movies or snippets of movies from your past, you can tell this is a different Craig Fairbrass. Still, that stuff from before is there, but there's more humanity and depth and complexity and reality in what you're doing that makes you very magnetic.
You learn as an actor.
Yeah, right.
You should, if you do anything in life, if you do it enough, you should get better.
Right. That's the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the plan. So, for me, I always questioned myself when I was a younger actor. I was always the package was a little bit wrong.
Oh.
It's only now that I've got older where everything has sort of come together.
Yeah.
You rightly said, life experience, having a family, things that you've experienced in your own life that you can now bring to the table, bring to the camera. And I've always tried to make things small, very real and believable. And it's finally working now. It's taken fucking forever.
It's all right, you guys, it's cool.
It's took forever, but it's working now.
Yeah, I'd be mad if you didn't cuss, because I enjoy that about your performances as well. We do want to give a shout out to the director here, Philip Barantini. He's also an actor. He's been in a number of things. So did you find working with him in this movie was so much easier than maybe in other projects because he could understand the actor's dialogue, the actor's point of view in certain scenes?
1,000%. I used to wind him up. I said, "What are you doing directing? I mean, you could have done too good an actor if you're directing." That was our little joke. He is a lovely human being. A little bit of history about the project. Bartley Spalding, who I worked with 10 years prior, gave me this script, said, "Read it, tell me what you think." I read it. I said, "I'd kill to play the role."
Wow.
What we need to do now is find a young director, someone coming through, who's got energy, not the same old thing. He said to me, we watched 1,000 shorts, other films. He said, "Look at this little short. This guy made this film. It's called Seconds Out, about mental health in a young boxer."
Wow.
And I watched it and it just blew me away. 15 minutes, but it blew me away. The tone of it, what came off the screen when I watched it, it was just so gritty and a little bit depressing, and it just made me think. And the music was just mind-blowing. So I said to Bart, "Listen, we've got to offer this to Phil. If he takes it, let's try and get the music guys as well."
Oh, wow.
So we got Phil and we got the guys, Aaron, to come over and do the music, which I think the music is incredible in the film. Everybody's commented on the movie. The last track, at the end of the movie, the incidental score is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And everybody worked together. Phil had no ego. He came in. He wanted to make the same film as me. We both wanted to make the violence have impact. Not much of it, but when it comes, it's brutal.
God, it's brutal.
And it serves a purpose. It moves the film on. It makes you think. So we was all on the same page, which was a godsend.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about the writers as well. The two writers here, Greg Hall, rather, and George Russo. This is interesting because Russo plays your brother in the movie, but he also wrote the movie. Yet you're the protagonist of the film. How interesting was this working with him on the film, but also reading his lines and doing his dialogue? Was there constant conversations? Were you adjusting things, or was it more of a just do what's on the page?
No, not at all. I knew George. George played a little part for me in London Heist.
Oh, okay.
We knew each other.
Yeah.
I know George was an amazing writer. He has a real handle on London, where he was born and bred, and he lives. He knows Hoxton, the rougher side of London like the back of his hand. He knows it. And when Bart said to me, George is one of the writers, I couldn't wait to read it because I knew it was going to be authentic.
Right.
And the dialogue was beautiful. I was reading it and it was just flowing off the page.
Yeah.
So when we met, me, him, and Phil, and we read it through, it was so easy because he's very much like me. He's very naturalistic, likes to keep things small and real.
Yeah.
We battered it about, and we got it to a place where we were both comfortable.
Yeah.
And I think the scenes really work well with me and him. They go through the whole gamut of emotions.
Yeah.
It's just very believable.
Yeah, and it's organic. You can tell the chemistry between you guys as
Yeah,
brothers. It's there. We've seen that brother story again in any, no matter British or American crime films. We've seen that
yeah,
story, that relationship before. But this, once again, both of you bring a unique approach to these characters that could have easily gone the regular route.
yeah,
But in this film, you both approach it from a different point of view, and it adds a nice new flavor to
yeah,
what could have been, a cliched relationship. There's so much more going on here. And the journey of that relationship to where it ends up is just fantastic. And
yeah.
you're going along with it.
Yeah, but I think, you've said some amazing things to me on this interview, and I think that is why, for someone like you yourself, you've obviously watched this properly. You're obviously a film buff, I can tell.
Yeah.
And you recognize quality. And I think the consensus has been, the reaction has been that everybody, no matter who you are, everybody appreciates a good film.
Yeah.
No matter if it's cost $100 million or $100.
Mm-hmm.
It's about, is it a good film?
Yeah, and that's important. And what makes it a good film is, like you said, the acting, but also I gotta give Azuka Hoyle some love here, man. Your relationship as much with George Russo. Your relationship with Azuka doesn't let you off the hook throughout. I mean, it's incredible. Once again, normally you think, okay, couple scenes, they'll be fine. No, so much more is going on here that I thought was so brilliant. You have to earn this redemption. You have to earn this connection. And I thought it was great. What was it like working with her?
She was incredible. We saw a lot of actors for that role. They did a big casting session. A lot of people put themselves on tape, and then we narrowed it down to 6.
Yeah.
She came in, and we did 2 scenes, and she just blew me away. I mean, she actually moved me. We did our audition, and just looking, she's such a competent actor that it just looked in her eyes, and she was just so real and just so natural. And I think our scenes are the powerfulest scenes in the movie. I really do. I mean, the ending together and the stuff with the baby. Yeah, it's a very fine line, that stuff. I mean, you can overplay it, you can underplay it.
Yep.
You've got to be really careful with it, because you don't want to play semantics for trying to pull on people's heartstrings.
Yeah,
it's got to be real, and if it's real, you get that feeling. Yeah. And so many people have messaged me and said, God, those scenes were just so uncomfortable.
Well, comfortable because they're authentic.
Yeah. She's a great actress. She's got a massive future ahead of her.
Yeah. She's Scottish. Do you think she got the accent right? Do you think she got the accent?
I think she did.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is a film full of really interesting characters, and you have your standard villain in the film as well, with Robert Glenister, who my girlfriend loves because he's the voice of Law and Order UK, and he did Paranoid. She was a big fan of that Paranoid series. Yeah, so when I told her I was interviewing her, she was like excited because that he's in the movie. But he's a veteran. He's a veteran as well. Did he come on? Yeah,
man. You know what? We were very, very lucky to have such good actors. Tommy May plays his brother. Just quality. Just bring something to the screen. You know what I mean? And when you're doing them scenes, I remember doing my scenes with both of them, and just feeling. You just know in your gut instinct. You know what I mean? When things are cooking, and you just think, oh, this is really good. I can tell my instincts are this is good. Everybody's playing it just at the right level.
Right. Yeah. The brother is Tommy May, right? Is that Johnny?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. He scares the living hell out of me. He scares the living shit out of me, man. Watching that movie, it's the big eyes and then the stillness. It's really scary. Really how he goes about. Have you guys worked? Like, is there a crew of dudes like you guys that do these action films? You radiate these stronger British crime characters. Do you all just hang out with you all, just know each other, or see each other on films all the time?
No, I mean I know all the guys of my era, obviously. I mean, I do the FootSoldier film, so we've sort of had everybody in them. So we've done 4 of those. But Tommy's he was like a newish face on the film.
Oh wow.
But he was, we got some great people in that film. The choices were just powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. Because we did a scene where I get attacked. Because usually I've always done the attacking for 30 years.
Yeah, that's what was so interesting about that. Yeah.
And George Rocha was watching the scene on the monitor. And he was watching me laying there covered in blood. And he came over to me and said, "Craig, it was just so weird to see you on the receiving end. It was just so strange." And the way he played it, cowering. Yeah, good stuff.
But Craig, that's what's so beautiful about the movie and unique about the movie. If you followed your career and if you understand anything about as a man getting older, as you get older, you can't do what you did in your 20s. You can't do it as strongly, especially. So sometimes life comes along and knocks you on your ass, and you have to cower a little bit, where in the past you'd have taken a knife or a hammer or whatever's around and destroyed the person intimidating you. That's the circle of life. Eventually you're the one getting beat up at the end. So to see you count, I thought that was a great layer to add to your character. So it doesn't seem like he's this insurmountable, he's just going to win every time. No, there's real humanity here. He can be beaten.
Of course. And not only that, you just touched there. It's a fact that as you get older, you want to be resting on your acting laurels, not your physicality laurels. It's different for Stallone. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm trying to say he does his thing. I'm a massive fan. I love it. But for someone like me, there's a mixture there of I've got to show I've got the chops.
Right.
Because, as emotionally to tell those stories. I'll always be able to throw a left hook and a right cross, but you've got to be able to convey shit as you get older.
Right. That's what keeps you working.
Of course it does.
People seeing you, seeing the humanity that you're bringing to the roles, going, okay, he'll be good in this. And I hope this leads to bigger things for you, stronger things for you that you can feel even more pride about. And not that you haven't felt pride for the work you've done before, but a new level of pride, maybe. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I've moved over. I mean, Villain was a film. I did another film last year called Muscle. It's a
Muscle.
art house movie. It opened up the London Film Festival. It's been doing the competition circuit.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal film. It's black and white. Jared Johnson, who made Hyena, directed it. It's a massive opportunity for me. It's about gym culture, about male toxic masculinity, about the relationship between a personal trainer and his client. But it's a very, very dark, brutal, edgy piece. I mean, I'm warning you big time. This is
okay.
But so I've been lucky enough now for people to look at me for those roles and go, you know what, I'd like, because Jared's every actor in England's fighting to work with a guy. So to start to do that stuff is a huge stepping stone for me.
Well, let's go all the way back in your life. It's called The Deep Cut. So let's go back into your life here, man. You're the son of working class parents. How did you find your way into acting? What were you doing before? How did this happen for you?
Well, my dad was a docker. You call a longshoreman in the in like New York or something like that.
Right.
So I grew up in the East End of London. And I was obsessed with films. I remember I watched so many movies with my dad.
Oh, wow.
As a youngster, growing up with the Lee Marvins, the Bronsons, the Kirk Douglases, the John Waynes.
Right.
One of my favorite films, Point Blank, with Lee Marvin. I love Cadbury, White Heat. I was obsessed with films, and I just got to an age where I was having problems at school.
Okay.
And I auditioned. I just fancied my drama teacher said to me, you need to let that energy. You need to somewhere instead of disrupting the class. You need to do something with it. So I started doing drama, and I really took to it. And I always say, to other kids I ever meet, if you're having problems, you need an outlet, try it. And I've got the bug, the acting bug. Did some bits and pieces. And then about 24, 25, I ended up playing in a film with Denzel. They brought Denzel Washington over to London.
Right.
To do a movie called For Queen and Country.
Yes.
Ended up playing the young racist detective opposite him. And obviously got an agent from that and went on.
Wow.
So
you booked that without an agent?
No, I had an agent, but not the agent like I got after.
Gotcha.
I had like a small time one.
Right.
It was hard to get in the door for that role. They'd seen 1 million people and they couldn't find anybody. Right. So they was then open to the lower levels. And I was very lucky that a casting director called Leo Davis saw my picture and went, you know what, I'm going to bring Craig in. And it was working title. It was, Tim Bevan's company. But I remember reading that and thinking, I am so right for that role. Just let me get in the room.
Right.
I got in the room and ended up nicking the job.
Yeah. Have you had run-ins with people who want to test your toughness or test, is this something that you deal with occasionally when you're outside? Because you played so many of these characters. Do people test you at bars or anything like that? Because athletes talk about that all the time.
Yeah, not really. I've been very lucky. I've been very, very lucky. I've got to be honest with you. I mean, I've had a couple of little things, but nothing that's got out of hand. I've always treated people as they treat me. To be honest with you, I'm always, if people come up and say, Craig, have a picture or whatever, or, I've always felt it unlucky to blank anybody. So I'm quite superstitious like that. So I'll stand and chat with anyone.
Right on. Well, we would take a picture if we weren't remote. That's for sure. We would definitely take a picture because I'm such a massive fan of what you do. Let's move on to Rise of the Foot Soldier, and we'll circle back to villain by the end of the interview. But certainly, if we haven't convinced you enough, you've got to watch this thing if it's out in the theaters now, or get it digitally to watch at home. Trust me, it is an incredible watch.
May 22nd.
May 22nd. Yeah. But I'm not sure when they're going to let me drop this interview. So it could be out now, but if it's not, May 22nd, absolutely. Craig, thanks for correcting me on that. So go and see Villain or download Villain. Let's talk about Rise of the Foot Soldier. This thing has really just made you, man, in so many ways. How can you pitch this to people here in the States who maybe don't have access to it or see it and maybe want to walk by it? What is the appeal that keeps you coming back to this franchise? You've done 4 of them now, and you said in numerous interviews that after the 3rd one you were done, but they keep bringing you back in, like Pacino and Godfather Part 3. They keep bringing you back in.
Yeah, just when I thought I was out, they grabbed me back in. No, it's because they do phenomenal business here. Phenomenal. I mean, it's like the strongest franchise there is.
Yeah.
I mean, Rise of the Foot Soldier 3 was Sky's biggest video on demand title of 2018. Number 4 is smashing it now.
Right.
It's got a massive fan base. I mean, we sold over 1 million DVDs on the first Rise of the Foot Soldier, the first ever one. And it's just grown and grown and grown. It's a certain taste. It's a certain film for a certain audience. It's a true story of 3 drug dealers who were murdered in the early 90s in a Range Rover. They were blasted to death. They were running. They were gangsters. They were drug dealers. They were liberty takers. The guy I played had 10 different drugs in his body on the autopsy.
Wow.
And they've took those characters and they've gone on. They've touched on every aspect of their lives, the criminality in Spain, because they was all on the run out in Spain. They got picked up by Grindstone in the US, Vertical Entertainment as the next one.
Okay.
Rise of the Soldier 4, the Spanish heist, comes out the 29th of May.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're very hard hitting, very brutal. They're not your high kicking. They're punch them up. They're blood, gore, and guts.
It sounds like my cup of tea, to be honest with you. But so are they told are they all prequel stories? Because obviously you said these guys died in real life in 90. So they're exploring their stories in the past.
Yeah, the film was such a success that they then said, right, you know, how did they get to this point?
Right.
On each film, they get to that point. So it's that whole, you know, they've been done so well. And I was lucky enough to win Best Actor for Rise of the Foot Soldier, the Pat Tate story,
right,
at the National Film Awards. And
what was that like?
It's just led on to different things. But I'm forever grateful for being in them films.
Yeah.
You know,
was there a moment after you won, Craig, where you were just like sitting by yourself and you just couldn't believe that you had won this award, or was it more or less like, oh, this is cool, or was it like a very emotional moment for you?
Listen, it's lovely to win anything. It's lovely to win anything, no matter what you do. And I think, you know, that with acting, you know, you watch the BAFTAs, you watch the Oscars, you watch all that stuff. You know, 99% of us will never get to that point. So for anybody to give you a slap on the back and say, you know what, not bad, well done.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, makes it worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I got a feeling you got more in your future here, judging from what I saw on Villain, and I'm gonna brace myself for Muscle and see what happens with that. You did Cliffhanger. This must have been interesting for you as a young man coming over to the States to do a film with Sylvester Stallone. How much exposure did you have to like John Lithgow and Stallone and Janine Turner and the people involved in the movie?
Well, let's just rewind for a sec. The reason I came to the US was I was in a show called Prime Suspect.
Oh, right, with Helen Mirren. Yes.
Yeah, it won Emmys and BAFTAs.
Yep.
And an agent saw me, a lady called Ann Geddes, saw me in that show. They were dealing with the English office and said, you know, we'd like to look at Craig. This was in 91, 92. He should come out to the US, you know, do some meetings. And I was naive and young, and I just want to go to America. I was excited. And I was lucky enough to meet a lady called Mindy Marin, a casting director.
Oh, yeah. Mindy Marin. Very well-known casting director, yes.
Yeah, very well-known. She was a lovely lady, and met Rennie Harlin. I was lucky enough to get a small part in the film. Right. But you know how it works, you know, in the US, you're on the big movies. You know, I was there from day one till the last day, and we was there for 4 months in Italy. Wow. So we was all together. So, you know, I was with John Lithgow every day.
Yeah.
Rocha. Obviously Stallone would come in and out. But it was a massive experience to work on a film of that magnitude. You know,
and you're a young actor. You're an up and coming actor at this time. You're sitting down with a veteran like John Lithgow. Are you having conversations about the business? Is he giving you some guidance, or is it just ball busting, fun, friendly kind of conversation?
A mixture of everything.
Okay.
You know, when you're together for that long, you discuss everything, don't you? Right. I mean, you know, personal life, your business. But I always liked him as an actor.
Yeah.
And it was a great show to be on. Yeah. I was a massive Stallone fan. You know, Die Hard 2 was my favorite action movie of all time.
Right.
And to meet Rennie Harlin was a massive. But you know, I was under no illusions. It's a tiny part in a big film.
Right.
That led to a couple of other little things.
Yeah. But it's still an experience.
It's not easy to get in films.
Right.
The big movies, they see the world and its mother. So, you know, they're not easy.
You have that time on the set, though, and it must have been like a really life-changing experience to be on that set with those people at that stage in your life as an actor. Like, okay, okay, what can I get from this as you move? Have you had a goal driving you as an actor as you go from project to project? Is there something you're trying to achieve? Is there a goal? Is there a progress? Is there a place you're trying to get to as an actor to accomplish before you hang up the spurs, so to speak?
No, I've done everything I set out to do.
Wow.
For me.
Okay.
That's regardless of what other people's opinions of me and what I've done. You know, as a young actor, I decided I wanted to do one thing and one thing only, and that was to work in film. I just wanted to work. I wanted to be in a film. I wanted to work on film. Luckily, I'm touching nearly 50 movies now, and you know, I've done some bad ones, I've done some okay ones, and I've done a couple of good ones now.
Yeah.
I've done TV.
So is Stallone. Yeah. He's done some bad ones. He does some good. So it's no big deal.
No, exactly.
Do you enjoy the TV work more than the film work, or is it just a job is a job for you. I've seen numerous interviews where you say you don't care what genre you do because you're an actor and your job is to act. That's it. Does TV or film, do you gravitate to one more than the other?
No, I don't. I mean, the TV as sort of, I want to get back to doing more TV. It became an obsession for me of building my presence in independent British films.
Yeah.
I did a couple in the US, but I just wanted to get a presence in those films for my films to do okay, for them to do a bit of business on video on demand, the streaming platforms. And that sort of worked. A couple of people have wrote some stuff for me that they think I'd be good in a series and gone, we should do some TV. So, yeah, it's just about getting the quality material, whether it's TV, film, game. I did a play last year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I went back to the theatre and it's just been nominated for an Olivier Award.
That's great.
There was only 8 of us on stage for like an hour and a half.
Right.
Surrounded by hundreds of people. It was quite. I never had a nice role in it. I wasn't the lead. It was a young kid. Right. Young up and coming star, young Taz was the star, but when they now want to make a movie out of it, so it's all about PTSD and young soldiers. But it was a phenomenal experience, back, live. That's what you go back to. It was quite a challenging thing for me to do because it's like the luxury of film of stopping and starting but to go out there for an hour and a half full on.
Yeah. I used to be an actor for quite some time, and so I get it. On the stage, and I was in the military, so I for 8 years. So I was very aware of PTSD even before it became something people talked about publicly. You were aware of those kinds of things from people you knew who went overseas or went into theaters of war and came back completely different. And so I like that now more and more art is. It's talking about it and showcasing it and highlighting it and making everyone aware of it, and mental health stuff as well. I love that's all, because so to hear you're involved with something that has mental health aspects to it is a positive. It's a good way to give back for all the stuff you've done before.
Keep an eye out for this because I'm sure it'll cross your path. It's called Warheads.
Okay.
And really, really classy piece.
Okay. Yeah. Warheads. All right, I'm gonna write that down. Yeah, there's so much going on in British TV, Craig. I mean, we just ripped through, my girlfriend and I. As I said, we're Anglophiles, so we have the Acorn TV app, we got the Sundance app, we got the other app that is out of the BritBox. Like, we got all that here in the States, and all she watches is British stuff. Like, legitimately, that's all she watches. So I've had to convert even more so. I thought I was Anglophile until I met her. So we've ripped through like London Kills, and we ripped through like so many of these series that she and I both enjoy, these crime series. And there's no reason that you shouldn't be involved in these in such an extent. So it seems like the right opportunity is there, because it seems like it's almost like a golden age of British television all over again. Deadwater Fell, we just finished that one up with David Tennant. So this seems like there's a lot going on here. Do you sense that?
Amazon and Netflix. I don't know if you've seen Brackwell. Have you seen Brackwell or Gomorrah?
No, I haven't seen that. What is that one?
Gomorrah and Brackwell. Gomorrah is about the Italian mafia in Naples.
I saw that one.
Series, incredible.
Yeah.
And the other one is Brackwell. It's about the French Parisian armed police. It's incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, check them out. I mean, the subtitles, but they're so good.
Right.
Right. They make quality gear.
Yeah.
More so, I think, than what we do. I mean, they don't make a lot, but what they make is quality.
Yeah, you enjoy that.
Yeah.
Where with Villain now coming into the forefront of your career, we go back to the Denzel. We go back to the work you did with Stallone, with Jason Statham. As you're going along on this path, do you have a mentor? Are things changing and you're just kind of figuring it out as you go along? What was it like for you during that time in your life as you were coming of age as a man and coming of age as an actor? What did you have demons that you had to get past? Did you have things that pop up that you didn't know were there?
No, massive demons. The depression, the self-doubt, all of that stuff. Because it's not been easy. I've got to be honest with you. I'd never kid you and say,
Please.
you know, I've worked, but it has been one step forward, two steps back constantly. And keeping that belief, keeping the belief and visualizing and seeing yourself in your mind, you know, on film posters and in front of cameras and doing and visualizing that shit day in, day out. Because I say, you know, I must have done 1,000 flights backwards and forwards to LA. I've done, you know, years out there where I never got a sausage, you know, nothing. A million no's, but you keep going. And every now and again you get a little yes, and it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. Do you do meditation, or do you do, like you said, visualization? Do you do anything else, that yoga or anything else? I'm not trying to break your badass image, but do you do anything else?
No, I don't. You know, I play my golf. I go to the gym. I have a run. I try to spend, but you know what? I didn't realize that I can quite easily sit. I've got a lovely garden. I can watch the birds eat the little nuts, and I can sit there. And for me, 15 minutes of meditation and clearing my head is a similar version of just trying to keep everything in focus and still not losing the drive, because I'm still as driven as I was. But what I found in life more so is that you got to do it yourself. Everything. Right. You have to do the shit yourself. You have to get up in the morning, brush your teeth, and just go, right, rhino skin on.
Well, and that's why I was very happy to have you, dude. I'm doing the same. This YouTube channel is doing it myself. You know, it was let go from my outlet in January, and I said I got to build this thing on my own then, and I'm very lucky it got monetized. I'm getting great guests like you to come on and give me your time to talk with. So I'm doing the same thing every morning. Getting up is like, sometimes it's like, man, this is there an end result to this that is going to be positive? But every time I do something, people seem to, you know, gravitate to it positively. And so, you know, the rhino skin is on. You have to put it on to build something and create something. Because at the end of the day, no one's going to take care of you except you. And so you've got to be smart about it in that way. Is it harder for you to do these action films now as you're getting to this, I would say, advanced age? Is it tougher for you physically and everything like that?
Not easy, put it that way.
And a lot of ice baths are there.
Yeah, you got that. Yeah, but I mean, to be honest with you, I never really. I mean, the action I do, the fights I do, the stuff I do are more along the lines of they're more brutal and real. You know what I mean? The fire extinguishers, the hammer. It's that type of violence.
It's close quarters.
Yeah, when you watch the Scott Adkins and the Stathams, the jumping, the back somersaults, the kicking, you know, they're incredible to watch, and they deserve every penny they get because they've got a huge fan base and they're very good at what they do.
Right.
I've managed to nick a living, you know, nutting geezers and punching them and hitting them with things. And now the acting is sort of overshadowing that, which is where I want to be.
Yeah. I champion that. I'd like, I'm looking forward to see more from you that doesn't necessarily have to lean into the physicality. It's more the human story that you're going through, the human journey. Not, you know, keep doing the physicality, but also the humanity of the characters that you're creating now at this stage as an actor. Your son produces it. He produced that London heist film.
Yes.
Were you trying to keep him out of the business, you know, as a good dad, or did you always encourage him?
He's no longer. He did 2 films, and doing the movies led him down another path into another business. So he's in a completely different business now.
Oh, wow.
It's too stressful. I mean, it's nothing but aggravation producing a movie. It's a year out your life, and he had to deliver the film on his own to Lionsgate. It's brutal. It really is. You know, I tinker about with. I'm going backwards and forwards, writing some bits and pieces with some people, and just to keep active in lockdown. You know, just to keep your mind churning out stuff.
Yeah. What's the lockdown been like for you, man? I mean, were you in the middle of a film that you were shooting, or just about to shoot and it got delayed? What happened there?
No, lucky enough, we'd finished. I'd done the play.
Okay.
He was just about to start heavy development. He just offered me another FootSoldier film.
Oh, okay.
They was going to rush into, but that had to be pulled. Bart, who did Villain, he finished 2 days into the big outbreak of the virus here. He's just finished Boiling Point with Stephen Graham from The Irishman.
Yeah.
They did a film, one take for the entire movie.
Wow.
They were lucky. They got 2 in the can, and that was enough. They had to pull the plug. And I had another friend who had a big movie going in Romania.
Right.
They had to pull the plug. As you know, everything's just come crashing down.
Yeah, it's just stopped.
Yeah, it was. It's insane times. I mean, you couldn't make it up. It's beyond the movie, isn't it? It's just
and
you're
watching people react to it too, Craig. It's like, what is happening? Like, are we living in actual movie? Like, what is happening? You know,
these viruses that come out of China. What is happening? It's constant. It's like.
Everybody's walking around with a mask, and it was like, you don't wear a mask. No, wear a mask. Why are you wearing a mask? God,
if it's not SARS, it was swine. If it's not COVID, it was I don't know. I really don't know. It's a lot of people have lost their lives, and it's not something to take lightly. I mean, it really is. I mean, they're relaxing the lockdown here a little bit, but still, no one's 100% sure on what's going on.
Well, you mentioned Stephen Graham. He's a good Liverpool boy. I'm a Liverpool fan for about 3 years. Are you a sport fan at all? Do you have anything you cheer for?
I was a Millwall supporter for many years.
Oh, yeah, Millwall, yeah.
Yeah, but I like my golf now, traveling.
Okay.
Which is a bummer because there's no traveling.
Right.
So I don't know what these coming months are going to be. They're now saying today on the news that a couple of the soaps, a couple of TV series are now they're going to resume filming again. And good. If you respect the social distancing, but I don't see how that can work on a film set when you've got 200 people all moving around together. They're so tightly locked in for 3 or 4 weeks.
I shot a documentary the other day. They asked me to sit in and offer my commentary on what's going on. And it was a 3-person crew. But the hoops they had to jump through to keep the social distancing guidelines in place. I'm like, this is just a small little shoot for an hour. I can't imagine what it's like for 60 people on a set, how they would be able to do, or 30 or 20 even, how they'd be able to do.
300 locked in a restaurant because it was all shot in a restaurant. He said, there's no air. The doors are locked because of the sound. And you're thinking to yourself, you got this containment. Luckily enough, they were fine.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. It's not good.
I got to ask you about this, and this is something that I've been going back and forth about with the video game stuff. How if it gets to be annoying, you can stop me at any point. But I used to do I still do voiceovers rather, and I'm always amazed at how they pick certain actors to do certain voices. And of course, with the Battlefield 5, like that's legitimately your face. That's you in the game. How did you get into this? In your career as an actor, voiceover, and being a part of the Call of Duty franchise and other franchises?
Well, the Call of Duty thing came around when I was living in LA. And I was chatting to someone someday, and they said to me, you know what, you've got quite an unusual voice. Your accent, the tone of it. Right. You should get yourself a voiceover agent. So I was like, interesting. Yeah, because I was doing adverts in the UK.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I signed with Vox, quite a big agency in the States. And a week later, I went up for an audition for Call of Duty, the first game, and ended up getting Gaz.
Yeah.
And it just went on and on and on and on.
Wow.
And then after Call of Duty ended, Battlefield then came to me. I was in London, and they said, we want you to do this game. And I got scanned for it in Serbia. And then I flew out to Switzerland to do the game. But that was an incredible. I don't know if you've ever done it, motion capture.
No, I haven't done that. I've had many friends who have, though. But it's an interesting experience.
It's an intense experience. That's the least I can say. It takes 4 hours to get dressed.
Yeah, and you got to stay. You got to stay in the same shape, right? Because I mean, you can't because you fit into the suit to do it.
Yeah, but then you move around, you go and you're in the green screen, and you watch the game back and you go, oh my God, it's incredible.
Yeah.
And then I did another one called Star Citizen, Squadron 42 with Mark Hamill, Mark Strong, Gillian Anderson, Gary Oldman. I've got a nice role in it, but it's a huge game. It's still in post-production now, but yeah, I mean, each game just led to more and more and more. I mean, they've just recast the new Call of Duty game. I'm not in any of those.
Okay.
But very enjoyable. I was lucky enough to do 5 or 6 games with the spin-offs because they do like an online version in China.
Yeah.
But great experience.
How taxing is it for you to do the voiceover and the performance did you find that it was a whole nother ball game for you as an actor to be in the booth with the headphones on, and sometimes you're not even acting opposite the person you're having the scene with, you're acting opposite the booth director? How did you have to adjust your acting in that experience?
It's actually a good question. It's the fact of you. What I found was from the director, they were much more comfortable with actors rather than voice over artists.
Oh, wow.
Found that we had a better ear. I mean, I could do like a 6-hour session in 3.5 and just go zip through them, because the intonation on a line, as an actor, when you're used to getting notes,
yeah,
you could change the intonation, the inflection on a line quite easily.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I mean, like you say, it's very taxing. I mean, I couldn't talk for like 2 or 3 days after, because you do all the low key stuff.
Yeah, right.
You would do the battle chatter, where literally at the end I'd have my shoes off. The sweat would be dripping off my nose. Incoming, left window, 4 o'clock says RPG, all of that stuff. And it is it's brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't talk, and you try and do it from your diaphragm as much as you can and not use your vocal cords, but it's very difficult when you're screaming.
Yeah, you drink that hot tea. You do what you can, right?
And for so long.
Yeah. It's almost as brutal as one of your fights. It's almost as brutal as one of your fights in a movie, or maybe even more, because you're dripping with sweat afterwards. Do you go to the conventions? Do you do that kind of stuff, or is that not really your cup of tea?
I've started doing the Comic Cons.
Okay.
Did a couple here in London, a couple up north. I've had a couple of inquiries for ones abroad, because I did an episode of Stargate.
SG-1.
The only Cockney in space. I got a lot of stick over that. But yeah, I've started doing them. They're fun, meeting fans.
Yeah.
They love it.
Do they bring up the other stuff that you do? Do they bring up FootSoldier? Do they bring up the other films that you do? You
get such an array of people. They tend to do their homework.
Yeah.
And turn up, and it's not just for one thing. They'll always be there for other things, which is great.
Right.
You get a whole mixture. You get people. I did a couple of gaming ones, and then for films. But you get gaming people at films and film people at the gaming ones. So
right.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
I think it's veering that way, that they're going more towards the film and TV actors, because these games are becoming more cinematic. So they want the performances to mirror what you're seeing on the screen, from how they're shooting it and how they've got these actors set up to do scenes, emotional scenes. I mean, that scene where you're talking to that guy, the young kid, you're like, you're not a fuck up. You just got to figure things out. But the reason I like about you is you're a trier. And that's why I got you on this. Like, that's a real, actual conversation between two human beings. You're like, I thought I was playing a video game. This is actually a movie I'm watching. So you've got to get actors that can, convey that emotion. No, exactly that. And I got a really lovely message about that, because I think that they used what I bring as an actor to a computer game. That naturalism, do you know what I mean? Of making it real. Yeah. I really enjoyed doing that, Battlefield. It was another thing that you took off the box. Incredible experience of doing everything. I've done the TV, radio, play, theatre,
the motion capture, the voiceover, the TV series, the mini series, the film. You know, all those little things that when you start out, when you're 19, 20, you think, I wonder if I'll ever do a Hollywood movie. I wonder if I'll ever be in one of those things. You know, the years and days move so quickly that all of a sudden you turn around, you know, your kids are men, and you go, I look at the little posters that I've done, or I look on IMDb and I think, you know what, you know, you ain't done too bad.
Yeah, Craig, you ain't done too bad. That's for damn sure. And you know, villain is I think is at this stage in your career, a cherry on top of the cake of what you've done for this phase. And then I'm excited to see what the next phase and what the next cake's going to look like as we move into the second phase for you, or the next phase rather, for you as an actor. Because if it's going to start opening these doors, Craig, I think more and more people need to be exposed to the work you do and the humanity you bring to the characters. Man, it was a blast. And to see you as the main guy on the poster, I mean, that must blow your mind at this age that you're still able. I mean, you're like, Liam Neeson ain't the only one who can do this thing. You're like, hey, me too.
He's 20 years older than me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You're like, well, if that old geezer can do it, I can do it. Get me on there.
You know, so many people have said to me, I get loads of emails of people. They come through to the website and they go to me, you know, you could be doing what Liam Neeson's doing. I mean, it's so, why are you not? We'll see. I said,
you're like, because my name's not Liam Neeson. I'll get there, but my name's not Liam Neeson right now.
I love it. I'm a huge Liam Neeson. I really do like stuff.
Yeah, yeah. One last, I do want to. Do you have a Stallone story, man? Do you have anything that you like, or was he just always like popping in and out? Because I'm a big fan of him as well. Is there anything that people would be surprised about?
Popping in and out. I mean, we was in the his villa wasn't ready when we first got to Cortina in Italy, and I was in the next room to him. And I used to walk past his room, and he'd be asleep on the armchair. I used to look at him and go, "Fucking Stallone." What's Rocky?
He sleeps like I sleep. Oh my God.
It's the weirdest thing, you know what I mean? Because I had some chats with him. We chatted in the gym, but you know, he was I know what it's like to be someone of that magnitude, you know what I'm trying to say? He was a little bit aloof when he needed to be aloof, but he was pleasant in most of the time. But when you're someone like him, I mean, I've only touched on it on a tiny bit, but you've got 1,000 people a day wanting to make small talk. And I know it's fucking draining.
Yeah.
It can be draining, you know what I mean? Especially for someone like him. So, you know, I was lucky enough, I was picked by him to be in the film. So I will be for forever in his debt.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be doing what I've done now if I never done that little part in that big film. Good. Every job you do is a stepping stone to the next job.
Right.
And I'm forever grateful for that. Great experience. Met some lovely people. Yeah. I still watch it now. It comes on. Funny. I watched Rambo 5 the other night, and there's something about him. There's something about Stallone. I
like that movie.
I liked it.
I liked it too.
There's something about him. He's watchable. Yeah. You know, he's still got that thing,
bro.
Still got it going on.
I took so much shit from the other critics and reviewers in my sphere because they're like, "Why'd you like that movie? It's a MAGA movie." And I'm like, "No, these guys came over. They messed his shit up. They took the girl, the daughter that he was essentially kind of pseudo the dad of, and they messed her up. And he's taking revenge. What is the problem here? We've seen this a million times. So I don't know.
I thought he did the violence. I mean, that's where you need that level. I hate to say it, but it's where you need to be.
Yeah. Nowadays, this is the violence they're looking for, is that level.
That's FootSoldier violence. It's that style. It's brutal. But you know, I look at him and I take my hat off to him. I really do, because what does he care about fucking critics? He's sitting in Beverly Hills by the pool. Right. He's got life, and what he's achieved as a man, as an actor, is absolutely mind blowing. I mean, he leaves most people roasting. You know what I mean?
His constant comeback story, which means the fans are always hoping to see him again, and they love him. Yeah, exactly. I got to interview him for the Rambo junket, and it was like a life. Like a check the box off a life highlight to interview, and him to say to me That's actually a really intelligent question you asked me. When he said that, I was like, I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. I'm good. It was so great. So I appreciate.
There's only one Stallone.
Yeah, there's only one Stallone. And look, there's only one Craig Fairbrass, and that's for sure. And you guys have enjoyed an hour with Craig here on the Deep Cut, and it's been my honor to have him on the show. Villain will be coming out May 22nd, right? May 22nd.
Yeah, May 22nd. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is everywhere or in the States?
Well, you say everywhere. Where is everywhere if you can't go out? Originally, we had selected theaters, but it's the mixing, it's the social distancing. What are you going to do?
Right.
So I know it's on all platforms. So please check it out. Don't be put off by the artwork. It's a cracking little film. It's a quality story, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Absolutely. Take it from me. Those of you in the Outlaw Nation who trust my opinion on movies and on the artistic integrity of movies, this is not your standard shoot 'em up or British crime film. This is something that's a little bit more. And you don't be surprised if you find yourself getting emotional watching the movie and falling in love with these characters. It's absolutely one that you should make appointment viewing for yourself and for any of your friends who like these kinds of movies. For sure you will enjoy it. And Craig Fairbrass is fantastic in this movie as well. So Craig, dude,
thank you enough, mate. You're an absolute star.
Please. You're the star. You're the star. I appreciate it.
I really appreciate that.
Thank you, man. It's good to see it.
Until
yeah, it is. It is absolutely from the heart, man. And I appreciate you very much, dude. And thanks for taking the time for an hour. And best of luck and continued success once everything ramps back up again, man. I'm looking forward to see what you got next.
Much appreciated. Just stay safe.
You too, man. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Well, there we go. That was Craig Fairbrass taking an hour to sit down with us here on the Outlaw Nation. Let me switch the thing back to the solo. What an incredibly awesome guy. I could have talked with him for another 2 hours for sure and gone into everything about like the accent and the physicality and maybe have him teach me how to do it. But I felt like we were having a nice flowing conversation about his career, about Villain. Again, Villain, go watch this thing or rent this thing on VOD, order it and watch it. It is so good. It is not your standard like, oh, they took the cliche way out. Nah, this one really takes a lot. It zigs when you think it's going to zag, and it zags when you think it's going to zig. And you've got a great dialogue in here, really well composed shots from the director, and some damn good acting, and some brutal moments of violence when they happen, but they rarely happen in the movie. This is more about the tension of trying to figure out what is going to happen between these two brothers and the situation that one of these brothers got them into, and the situation that this other brother has coming out of prison and walking into the quagmire that is their situation. And of course, him also trying to repair the relationship with his estranged daughter who has a child. So he, in essence, he's a grandfather in this thing as well. So really great stuff. Can't recommend it enough. And I hope you enjoyed the interview with Craig Fairbrass again. And please follow him wherever he's at on social media. I think it's at Craig Fairbrass on Twitter. And he says he's got a website. Go and find that website and, take a look at the Rise of the FootSoldier stuff. I'm going to dive into that and watch those movies and see how good they are, and watch Muscle. He spoke very highly about that film as well. So go take a look at that and see if you like it. Let me know if it's a damn good movie as well, because I will get around to it, I'm sure, very soon. All right. Other than that, please remember to subscribe to the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to march to 15,000 viewers, then to subscribers rather, and then 20,000 subscribers after that. Give it some love there, and follow me on social media at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. See all the things I'm doing there, all the projects I'm involved in, and give me some love as well as I start marching more and more into what we're going to do with the Outlaw Nation. And don't forget the Outlaw Nation Patreon as well. Where is it? Right above me. Oh, this side. There we go. The Outlaw Nation Patreon.com/John Rocha. There are a bunch of new shows that we're dropping that we've got in motion here. There they are. The Criterion Corner, The Outpost, which is a mailbag show. I think if you're at the $5 tier and above, you get to send in your questions and I will answer them on the show. The OK Corral is the debate show. I think that's for $10 and above. 2 patrons are selected and they get to battle over a topic. I choose the topic, and then I choose right before the debate starts which side of the debate they're on. And the Outlaw Rides Again, which is one I'll do with a patron interviewing me as we watch one of my old Schmodown matches. So that's Also, in addition to the 2 hangouts that we do every week and the random movie watch-alongs that I will do whenever I'm in the mood and post them on the Patreon for people to enjoy. All right, that's it for me. Thank you all so much for downloading this episode of The Deep Cut. And if you're listening to this episode of The Deep Cut, thank you so much for being a member of the Outlaw Nation Podcast Network. That's another thing for those of you who are watching on YouTube. If you didn't know, we also have a podcast network. So if you want, go and subscribe to that and see all the content that we do or listen to all the content that we do on the audio on the Outlaw Nation in audio format for you. Some of you like to work out to some of the shows I do. Some of you like to mow grass or do gardening or just to drive around the city or your town listening to some of the content I do. So I made sure to turn it all into podcast format as well and put it under the Outlaw Nation podcast format. All right. Thanks so much. Give Craig, tweet Craig Fairbrass that you enjoyed his interview with me here and give him some love there. And that's it for me. We'll talk to you with a brand new interview soon on another episode of The Deep Cut. Take care until then.